All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun. And we are back talking more Mike Flanagan stuff on Netflix. I think this is the last thing that we have on Netflix of his to talk about before he, I guess, has made the move over to Amazon, which I am more than happy to see him go wherever, especially if hopefully those places don't cancel his shows that we're only going to go for one more year. I only got this information, like the actual reasoning behind it, like recently. So I'm like, after just recently finishing this show today, it's a little raw to know that we're not probably getting another Midnight Club season anywhere. Unless they were to jump on it real fast before anybody gets much older on this cast. If they can if they can do season 2 of the Midnight Club over on Amazon, that'd be great. Maybe a movie. Maybe we can get a Midnight Club movie. Again, I think they'd have to act pretty fast. But, you know, suspension of disbelief is okay, I think, in this case, if they look a little bit older. But whatever. But they all do have a certain look in this. So anyway, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. And yeah, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, all that stuff. This is going to be I don't know how long this video is going to be, folks. I got a lot to say. I have a lot of feelings. I felt a lot of feelings. I'm still feeling a lot of feelings. If I had made this video earlier today, I probably would be bawling, probably be choking back tears. And who knows? I don't know if it depends on how I'm feeling as I'm talking about this. This is a special show. I think all of Mike Flanagan's stuff is pretty special. I still think Bly Manor to me is probably like the weakest of the Netflix shows, but I still really like it. If we're gonna rank them, and I mean, the movies all that he's done are all different. So I don't really know the ranking in that. I mean, I really did like Doctor Sleep a lot though. But for me, he's just it. I haven't seen anything from him that I haven't liked. It's just that simple. Like anytime, like when I thought that Oculus wasn't going to be that good, when I went and like when I found out he did that, and I thought, well, I don't know, there was a reason I didn't see it back then. So how's my mind going to be changed now? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's how. Then I saw the Ouija one. And I'm like, this has to be really. And I mean, look, it's still Ouija, but it was pretty darn good for what it was, with like very little interest and very low expectations. But all the other stuff is just top tier, and somehow I still slept on this. So if you don't know what the Midnight Club is about, the Midnight Club is about this girl named Alanka, who mother has died, and she's living with her stepfather, basically. And then she finds out she has cancer. And she ends up, and she's a very smart girl, and she does tons and tons of research, and she ends up going to this very specific place that she wants to go to called Briarcliff, where it's like a hospice for people with cancer. And and there won't be spoilers until I say so. Until you hear me say spoilers, don't worry about it. But because there will be a point though coming up where this is an appreciation video. This is meant to, like for the people who don't have or want more people to appreciate, that are appreciating this show. It took away stuff from this show. That's what this is mainly for. This first part is for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. So anyway, she's at this school, or this hospice. Sorry. I watch a lot of stuff. At this hospice, there's a group of kids, ranging from all, colors of the rainbow. And they all are very specific. It's a very breakfast clubby type of group. It's pretty cool. There's some more returning faces from other Mike Flanagan stuff, of course. And they all meet up late at night to tell stories that scare them because they're trying to see if they really can be scared, because if you get a terminal cancer diagnosis, what's going to scare you more than your death sentence already? And from there, it starts to peel back like immediately, that there's something special about this place, or at least Alanka does. If you've seen the trailers, there's a supernatural element, but what is it? Is there? And if there is, what is it? What's real and what's not? It'll be making you think that while you're really getting, pardon me, more Mike Flanagan, top-notch writing, top-notch acting from another incredible cast of people who are there to, basically, their characters are there to just have a nice send-off before they, so that they're not in some, horrible hospital. This is a place where they can walk around and they can do things, and they're free of watchful eyes and things like that. Like I said, over the course of the show, things get weird, and our characters get deeper into the mystery of this place, what it can do for them. But also, during like all the episodes, one of the kids tells a story that's about them and it's a way for them to express to the other people at this table their feelings about death, their friends, their lives, period. And the show is based off of the works of Christopher Pike. The Midnight Club was a book written, I think, first in 1994. I never read any of these, but because I guess 1994, I was like 19, and I guess I was reading comic books still, but I wasn't really reading too many books. And I don't know if I would have been at the time appealed to me. Pretty soon, though, because I was really into the X-Files, but maybe I was just, I don't know. I don't really have an excuse. They just, somehow I missed them, or they missed me. So I've never read the books. So again, I like that I don't know the source material, but it's right up Mike Flanagan's alley to do this. This is totally I'm glad that he's the one who did it, over anybody else now. And so the main story is based off the one Midnight Club book. But within the show itself, the stories that they tell at the table are based on other works of his that are twisted, or not twisted, but, just adjusted is what I mean. Adjusted to fit the characters in the show. And they're all unique, and they're all kind of homages to different genres. And this is also TVMA. So there's a lot of it's what well, that's pretty much it, because it's about to get personal and I'm trying to figure out how to start it. I guess where I'll start is like, first off, it didn't move the needle enough to get a second final series to wrap up this show. I think, though, go into it knowing this: if there isn't another season, there's a lot of satisfying elements to the end that could just be an end, and you could take a lot of that and make up your own little mystery. There's some other stuff that makes it a lot harder to not see another one. Some definite setups, but there weren't so many setups that you couldn't also just be fine. But here's to, again, hoping that maybe we at least get a movie to wrap things up over on Amazon or somewhere, anywhere. And for whatever reason that happened, I don't know. I haven't listened to anybody else talk about this show. If I had a warning, if there was a reason that I could think of outside of just, there's a reason shows like 2.5 Men and like The Big Bang Theory stayed on the air for so fucking long. Okay. And there's a reason why shows like Firefly, I'm still bitter. I'm a bitter Gen Xer, man. What are you going to do? that you just don't seem to reach an audience that suddenly after the fact goes, that show's great. Why didn't we watch it? I don't know. Why didn't you? So for whatever reason, I don't know if it was viewership. I mean, the needle moves with subscriptions, right? So again, if Netflix, think about making more of your stuff week to week, because guaranteed you at least got them for 8 weeks, 10 weeks. You could even like split it into 2 parts and stuff to keep them, onto your subscription service. They'll still pay. That's all I'm saying. You might see better metrics that way. I don't know. But anyway, the other reason that this, though, invalid, depending on your constitution. Do you have a high constitution? Roll. Let's see what your con roll is. This show has a lot of really dark and depressing elements to it. It's a little bit of a hard sell, in fact, to probably a lot of people, which is you're going to be watching a show about a bunch of teenagers who have got a terminal diagnosis of cancer, and you're just basically watching them die. You're waiting for them all to die, and depressingly, in tears and tears and tears over, I was friends with them. I loved this person. I can't believe he's gone. And just more like, and if you got 7 or 8 kids, right? Let's see how many are on this picture here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of them. There's 8 kids potentially to die over and over and over the course of the series. And I think that might turn some people off when they think about it. And then, just the whole cancer thing. And I don't mean to say it like the whole cancer thing, all glibly, like it's nothing. I've had plenty of people in my family that have got cancer. Some of them survived it. Some of them didn't. But it's a lot. It's asking, I'll say this. I think it is asking for the audience to, like, I don't know, be open. I think good television doesn't always have to be like, I think good television can be challenging and should be challenging sometimes. I think, like, I remember watching the Underground Railroad show on Amazon for a while back. That was not an easy watch, but didn't make it any less good. I mean, The Wire is a hard show to watch sometimes, but by the end of it, you're glad you did. I think that's one of the problems for people probably to get started and continue with this show is because it brings up. I mean, who doesn't? There's a lot of people with the story of someone they know. It touches every family practically. I mean, if you're immune to it, cancer, if you don't have anybody that if your whole family basically died of natural causes or, I don't know, like, or actual natural disasters or something, things that acts of whatever, that's one thing, but terminal illness, it's not an easy sell. And so me even recommending it needs to come with that caveat, of like, there's going to be pain in this. There's pain in this. There's fear in this. And, you're watching it all happen from some very, very convincing, younger actors who, again, everybody in this is fantastic. Gives me hope when I see young actors like this. It gives me hope for the future of movies and television. Is we got a great crop of people, man. They're all over working with Mike Flanagan, apparently. And I'm fine with that. The Mike Flanagan universe, man, hasn't let me down at all. There hasn't been one dog in that bunch. I'm telling you. Think about it. If you really think about it, this guy's putting together like a great group of actors that I mean, I know I'm Mr. Acting Gusher guy, but so yeah, it's a hard sell. And, some people don't like scary. So mix the tragic with the scary, like, oh my God, are the poor cancer people going to get eaten by ghosts? And, but it's really not that kind of show where you're like, there's the always the specter of death hanging around there, but there will be. But it's what the characters are doing in the now, dealing with their situation and feelings for each other, changing feelings for each other, what their backstories have made them in this place and their relationships because of it. We'll be talking a lot about, when we get to spoilers and stuff, we'll probably be talking mostly about the stories through the actors when I talk about each actor, probably to make it a little easier, because I'm not going to just be doing episode to episode stuff, and there might be cross information a little bit. But I can't say enough good things about how well this cast of actors, this cast of young actors, really brought this really personal feeling that just felt so authentic to all of their parts and everything. They had to act like adults, but they had to be adults that didn't know how to adult, people that were forced to age too soon, people that were forced to face their mortality too soon, like always having to, try to live your life knowing every second counts, and how many seconds do you have left. Every single one of these people in this cast rose to that occasion, and what they did with this balancing act of having to make adult decisions, having to have adult thoughts, but then still have these like emotional reactions that a young person would still have, and mistakes that you'll still make, thinking you're acting like an adult because you've been having to make adult decisions. And being able to see the characters like bob back and forth between the child and the adult, it's phenomenal. And having a protagonist, because like the main character played, I'll say the main character through mostly her eyes right from the beginning, Alanka, played by Iman Benson, like she's in some shows she would just be insufferable. Like you'd watch her and just go, oh my God, this kid is so full of themselves. But the thing is a lot of kids are. She's doing a genuinely like real performance where the main character is allowed to be unlikable at times, is allowed to be the way people are, a way a person is, the self-preservation and the kind of like pretentious way you can sound, and the overly smart way you can sound, and thinking everything, the way you can make that sound. They're not afraid to do that, but it's not done in, again, like lesser writing doesn't know how to handle this, but the writers on this show, it's like, I think we're so used to people not knowing how to talk for kids, like write teen and child dialogue. It's a bunch of people that have just lost so much touch. And when you see the way that they write teens and kids in these shows from Mike Flanagan, somebody actually knows how people talk. And like there's the voices seem genuine, and they don't seem like somebody else. You could hear a kid say this kind of stuff, and it is insufferable at times, insufferable, and it is irritating sometimes, because it's supposed to be, because people aren't like just what we want them to be in our minds. They're going to act the way that they act as far as their character goes. And that's another great thing about all of his work, is that all the care that gets put into the background of these characters to make them come fully alive. Even though we don't all know the information, you can tell by the way that they're performing it that the actor does. The actors received all the information, and then they're free to completely, dole out their backstory to us in whatever way that the script sees fit. And it always comes out in like fantastic fashion, whether it be through the main story or through these stories that they're telling to each other. And one of the first things that this show made me think about was mortality, because a lot of them are trying to find meaning, and they want to be like seen and remembered, and they're upset that they're not gonna, what kind of impact are they gonna leave after they're gone. And just looming with this death sentence of they could be gone in a day or they could be here in a year, but with a table of new faces of all their friends that have died. And now they still have to see more and more people come and go while they live. They suffer when they're living, and they suffer when if both ways, like the guilt you feel for surviving and the guilt that and the fear that you fear of dying. It's crazy. And I don't, this is just how it made me feel, and how I was trying to find a way, like it just kind of related to me, was that if you know anything about me on my channel, you can go look it up. I have at least a couple of videos that get pretty personal about my life. And one of the things that I like when it comes to like the ticking clock thing and thinking about mortality, I was raised in a cult that from the age that they felt like I could handle it, they told me that, and my sisters when they did too, like in suit, or maybe we told her, I don't know, maybe I told my sisters what was going to happen after my parents told me, but I was told that there was going to be an apocalypse, that the whole world was going to be destroyed except for those of us that believed in this version of Christianity. And I was told that at like probably 6, somewhere around there, like when I was going to school, when I was cognitive enough to understand enough that they decided to pop that little nugget in my head. And while maybe it didn't like run through my head 24/7 like when I was that young, but the older that I got, the more they kept pressing it, because you would be more and more present in the church, and the more you're present in the church and everything, you're learning more and more about the end of the world. And pretty soon it became, don't worry about seeing 16. You're not going to have to worry about, getting your driver's license. I was literally told this. Don't worry about taking your driver's license. Armageddon's probably going to be here by then. I think I was told that at like when I was in like 8th or 9th grade, man, something like that. And, I was close to being like driving age. I remember being told, don't worry about turning 18 because you won't be worried about no draft or going to, and then don't worry about being 21 and drinking. You won't ever have to worry about drinking. I mean, so my whole life was put on this clock where it just, after a while, I started just doing all the numbers all the time, like this many years to this and this many years to that. And it's a horrible, horrible way to live. It's a horrible, horrible way to live. And for these kids to like, for anybody that gets a diagnosis, whatever age you are, it's terrible. But I would say, if we had to like rank it, being told at like 15, 14, 16, when you're like really ready to start and to become an adult, you get those feelings of like, I'm going to do this and that and everything with my life. The whole world, I have the whole world in front of me. And now you've got just a little bit of time left. And how do you not obsess with that? And then how do you leave, like worrying about leaving your mark and not being able to leave your mark? And that also caught me a little bit on a path of like, I wanted to kind of just say something about my channel in general, which is like, if you've made it this far and you're liking what I'm saying, I mean, this is how it goes on my channel. And my channel is basically like an extension of myself, that meaning that like in a lot of ways out in the real world, I have a very hard time expressing myself and showing people who I really am. And it's I know that it's probably that's weird. It's somehow that I can do this. This isn't easy either. Every video is an anxiety filled mess. Somehow I can do this, but I can't, and I can say all my truths here, but I get outside and I clam up and I put the metaphorical hood over my head and put my head down and don't look people in the eye, although that one's real. The thing is, I'm getting better at the looking people in the eye part when I have to talk to them, at least. But sometimes I worry about like, what am I leaving behind because of how I am and who I am and how I can't be, like I wish more people in my real, like when I see them every day at my job or wherever, people that I just run into on the daily. Uh, this channel is like, if anything, if they would ever be able to see, if people really wanted to know me, at least I have a place for people to see how I really am. At least there is some evidence. And sometimes when people have found my channel that know me, they suddenly do like feel like it's easier to talk to me, and then I find it's easier to talk to them. And I only bring this up because I see like what these, how these kids are feeling and in this show about, you know, nobody really knows them too. It's like how they come to know each other and the impact that they leave on each other. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say is like I'm hoping that the more I do this, the easier it gets to be, maybe possibly leave an impact in my real world as this gets easier. I don't know. I don't know. I guess that was a little, I don't know if that was just too cornball or if it didn't make sense or not. But anyway, that's pretty much like, we're going to talk about the cast, I guess, and then we're going to get into the spoiler territory. So this cast is great. I'm just going to go right down the line. We got Ruth Codd, who was also in The Fall of the House of Usher. I did not know she was in this at the time. Also from The Fall of the House of Usher, she plays Anya, by the way. She is in the picture, the one in the wheelchair. We also have the return. In Fall of the House of Usher, that would have been his second thing, but in this, Sorian Sepkoda plays a mesh. He's the guy sitting in the red, right above the girl in the wheelchair. He was in the first one to die in The Fall of the House of Usher, the youngest. And after seeing him in this, because Fall of the House of Usher didn't give me much, it basically just gave me an episode, right? I think. Did he die in the first episode? I don't remember. I think no, it was okay. We got 2 episodes with him. I think in Fall of the House of Usher, and it wasn't that much to really get a gauge on his acting chops, but in this, we as a mesh, we get to see a lot. I really dig this guy, and like I've been saying though on every Mike Flanagan thing is, look at this cast, remember these faces. They are going to be people that you're going to see in big movies and shows. Another returning Flanagan actor is Zach Gilford, who plays Mark in this. He was also in Midnight Mass and Fall of the House of Usher, and gosh, those are the ones I remember. Samantha Sloyan is also back as Shasta in this. She is also from this Fall of the House of Usher and Midnight Mass. Rahul Kohli is in this, who has a cameo. Well, he's in one episode as the adult version, sort of a mesh, named Vincent Beggs. He was in Bly Manor. He was in Midnight Mass. He was in Fall of the House of Usher. He was in this. He was in iZombie. He was on Matt Bedell, who plays Tim. He's also from Midnight Mass and Fall of the House of Usher. Katie Parker was also in this. And so I'm just rolling it all the way that all these people, including Robert Longstreet's back in this. Henry Thomas is back in this. Crystal Ballant is back in this. But we also have a couple of really fucking amazing like co-stars in this, and one really special guest star, which is, we have Heather Langenkamp, who, I mean, I know it's Nightmare on Elm Street. I know, but I really wanted to see. I remember way back in the day when I first saw Nightmare on Elm Street. I thought she was so good in that movie, and it just seemed like nothing ever happened for her as far as like, I don't know. Maybe she didn't want it. Maybe it wasn't offered. Maybe she wanted it and she learned to live without it. You know, she's clearly been fine in her life, but I really wanted to see her in tons of things, and it's just nice to see. Not like he was giving, like she, somebody was doing her a favor by giving her this role. It it's just such a great role, and it's great to see her in it, and to see that this show lets her be so many different characters and put on so many different hats and personas and genres, that it's like getting to see her in all the things that you didn't get to see her in before, just bite-sized. And she's one of those people that, like Tom Hanks, where you go, man, they better not be real pieces of crap in the real life. But I'm pretty sure that a friend of mine interviewed her and she was lovely. Who else? And the for me, the other big nerd thing, the huge freaking nerd thing that's in the thumbnail, is that, yes, Cancer Man himself, William B. Davis, is in this as one of the spirit type things, whatever they are. He's the ghostly version of the man. Like, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to spoil it now, but William B. Davis is in it, and I'm just, look, if anybody knows William B. Davis out there that watches this, and like the freaking craziest chance in hell that somebody that could actually make this happen. But if anybody out there knows how I could get in touch with William B. Davis to do an interview with him, you would make my, like, I could retire. No, I don't know what I'm supposed to say there, but it would basically break my brain if I could talk to William B. Davis. Okay, so back to I think Igby Rigney, who plays Kevin. I think he was in at least one thing, and I can't remember what it was. It was probably Midnight Mass. Anara Simone as Sandra. Aya Furukawa as Natsuki. Alex, pardon me. Alex, I've been talking a lot. Alex Esso as Poppy Korn. Larson Thompson as Julia Jane. William Chris Sumter as Spencer. Daniel Deemer as Rhett. Emilia Baranek as Catherine. Patricia Drake as a ghost. And Adia as Sherry. Oh, Sherry. Yeah, one of the Midnight Club. Okay. Fantastic acting from all of these people, of course. So from pretty much here on out, it's going to be spoiler character stuff. We're going to be talking about as much of it as I feel like, as pops into my head, folks. And we're already at 33 minutes. So maybe if you want to take a break now, go watch the show and then come back and watch the other half an hour or so. I just automatically thought it was going to be in half an hour. So look out, folks. All right. So the first person, we need to talk about then, as far as arcs go on this show, is Ilanka herself. I said that in other shows, she would probably be really insufferable. And like I said, she can be in this show, but that's why I like her, because she feels like a real kid. And like I said, these feel like real kids. They are, of course, but they feel like kids that I see in real life, not just on TV. And her is no different. And the fact that they throw on this, like, everything at this kid, and she's a kid after my own heart, man, because she goes in and looks for research, and she's fighting from like the time, like she's how I'd want to be. I'd want to have every weapon in my arsenal. I'd want to, swamis and mystics and pills, and I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would fight to live. And she is a fighter, and she's also got brains. But with brains also comes, like, there's a bit of a know-it-allness. There's a bit of a, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do because I think it's right, and I might do something. And there were moments in this show where you're like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. but there's just she's a very complex character, and from like I said, her mother is gone, and she's with her stepdad, who is played like I said by Matt Bedell, who plays Tim. And to talk about him and her's relationship is another important thing about this show, is that in so many movies and shows where the kids are the main focus and the adults are the background, like in the Peanuts, right? Wah, 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 wah. They're just there to get in the kids' way, cause drama, to be basically plot points. So it's like, I gotta, sneak past my dad to get out to go to the party, that kind of thing. And these adults are adults. They talk like adults, they act like adults, and they're not always like, they're portrayed as people and not cliches. Tim is how a dad, I think most dads would be to their child, whether they were their stepkid or not. He's a man who steps up, who loves her unconditionally, even though she's not his blood. I was so like, look, that's not my life. That's not my experience. But what my experience in seeing stuff is that they usually make these characters the villains more than sympathetic and actual cheerleaders for the kid character. They're not an impediment. They're there to be supportive. And maybe for any of us that didn't have that in our lives, that might be a little hard to swallow, but it should also be heartwarming to know that there are people that are actually like that in real life. A lot of them are, most of them probably, right? And how, like, same as Heather Langenkamp's character and any of the adults in this show, they all pretty much are coming off of like, we are trying to be there for the kids. This isn't about us. Now, we'll be getting to spoilers about at least one of these characters that, somebody's got to be the fox in the hen house, right? But on the surface, at least, all of them are not impediments to our characters. They are there as support. They're there for when they need them. And they do that throughout this entire series. And when it comes time for them to be adults, they do. And it's when it's necessary. And it's I would say it's barely ever, if ever, in a circumstance that wouldn't warrant a more parental reaction. And it's never like an unrealistic reaction to something that like small that would happen. Because they're also, all these adults are dealing with kids that are dying, and there's these regiments and things that they have to know just to keep them alive in general before something that could happen that could set up, that they could accidentally do or put them in the way of, that could cause their disease to kill them faster. So you've got a bunch of pretty competent adults. It's nice to see competent adults. But Iman and her stepdad have a really great relationship. She also is like telling him like, I'm going here. You get to, you're out there, and I appreciate you and I appreciate everything you've done, but you get to like, she has to do this on her own. And I think that because he misses his wife, it makes it extra hard that he has to, now let the only other part of her go. And they don't forget that fact. And the guy's there throughout the entire show, man. Whenever she needs her, blah blah blah. Maybe for some people that's a fantasy like me. But I enjoy this fantasy if it's not, realistic. I think it's the more realistic version anyway. But over the course of this show, this character, holy moly. Because since we're talking spoilers, she's there specifically because she heard about a girl named Julia Jane, and this is played by Larson Thompson, who, oh man, when she finally shows up, wow, I thought she would have been great as one of Manson's followers in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. holy crap, did she put on a performance in this that, like, once you know, like, how the adult version of her operates, fan freaking tastic. um and it's so easy to, like, get off track. But Julia Jane was, like, at the hospice a while, long time ago. She went missing for 7 days, comes back, and she's cured. And so that's why Ilanka is there. She's there to find the special thing that helped heal that girl. And she's going to go, she's not going to let anything get in her way. And she doesn't. And she makes mistakes, and she drags these kids along to things that they shouldn't be doing. She gets them to do things that they shouldn't be doing. She's, winning hearts and minds, giving them hope, maybe false hope. And it's like they don't let her off the hook. They might do TV movie forgiveness where it doesn't take forever for somebody to let them go, but they're also dealing with a ticking clock, which means either the characters that don't like them are going to hate them forever, or they have to get over it or a little more quickly. You know what I mean? Because it's like, we only have today. We can't be hating each other forever. We have to be a little more forgiving. And she tests that, though. She tests that big time. Because, and this was there, when it comes to her relationship to the next character, which is played by Samantha Sloyan, whose name is Shasta, like the pop. That's the first thing I thought of. She's out in the woods, like, exploring, because she's looking for these. She sees these symbols that are all part of the mystery of this place that had, like, a cult there at one point in the basement, but, like, not like the death cult in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. More like, like, it's something bad went bad, but, like, not like Jonestown level bad. But she's out there in the woods, and this lady's just like, hi there, and I'm just like, okay, first off, nobody just pops up out of the woods and is like, one time, right? You can do it once. And yeah, they do say that, like, oh, I saw you on the monitors, but still, it's just kind of like, if you don't know pretty much from jump, you need to be like, okay, first off, we are in the show, they already show that Julia Jane's a redhead. And we see that this lady's a redhead, and she's about the correct age she would be. So it's like, again, if we're already talking spoilers, like, yes, this is Julia Jane all grown up, and we have to sit and wait for her to finally reveal it. It's one of the only annoying things on the show is, despite how well it's written, especially in the dialogue, look, there are times when everything gets tropey and cliched or whatever, or obvious. If you see enough things, sometimes even the best people will put the villain right in front of you, right? Because it's the girl, and she just keeps popping up, and she's telling her, oh, well, this place. She's there to egg on Ilanka over the specialness and what it can do for her. And again, even though, like, she turns out to be the villain, she is there to support her. But it's just that there's a difference in her support. You can just tell is driven by selfish means. The way that will suddenly be hardline about something, instead of like, no, it has to be this, it has to be that. She's there at first to be this, the snake in the Garden of Eden or whatever, to, like, oh, it's okay. You can do that. It's no big deal. Blah, blah, blah. She's sitting there with a big old smile, calling her bright girl. Like, just, she's pumping her up. She's puffing her up full of, like, all sorts of ideas and hopes. And man, what she does later on, like, you can see it coming a mile away, though. And that was one of those moments where, I mean, look, I'm going all over the place. And again, full spoilers. Like, when she tells her to, like, bring me down to the club, and we'll go down there, we'll do this right. And she's still thinking that it's about her. And, like, it's about, like, Ilanka thinks that they're going down there to heal herself. And she still doesn't realize that this person who's obviously practically twirling her mustache the entire time is going down there to heal herself. Like, the absolute, but what that makes her performance, though, from Samantha Sloyan so great is that, even though I'm seeing her be obvious and stuff. It's the way that she's hiding her deceit that I really love. The way that she portrays that hiding of the deceit, and that manipulation. She's very good at it. And over in between, like Midnight Mass, this and Fall of the House of Usher, she gives like three unique performances of women with very like manipulative kind of. Let me think about that first. Well, like very culty, very culty thought ways of acting. Like if you get my meaning. But she's fantastic at it. And guess what? She doesn't get, like, the villain doesn't die. Like it, she she runs off. Like who knows what would have happened in the season 2, right? But they're just people, and they're down there fucking around, and Heather Langenkamp goes down there and they get into it, but it's not like some stupid action movie all of a sudden where somebody's pulling out some holy dagger and demons start coming out of people's mouths and shit. No, they're regular ass people having in a weird situation, no doubt, but like they still handle like she leaves, she runs away, and instead the doctor stays and helps people because that's what a doctor does. In fact, she tells that to him. She's like, "You let her go." And she's like, "Yeah, because I'm a doctor. I'm there to help people." She saved all those people's lives by staying there. It's like the fantasy of a kid. It's like, this isn't a movie. You guys might be telling each other stories out there, but it's but I'm gonna stop talking about her for now, because otherwise we'll never get to everybody. And I am prepared to make this a really long video. I don't know. Maybe I should make it into 2 parts. Maybe I should. Maybe I should stop here and give you guys part 2 later. Screw that. I'm talking now. We're just going to go. We're just going to do it. We're doing it. I don't care. This is the big Midnight Club retrospective, folks. Okay. So after Iman Benson, we should talk about Igby Rigney, who plays Kevin. Kevin is, holy cow, is this guy a pretty decent actor? He's the one in the cast that actually looks like his face is like an older face on a very young body. He has a very weathered and weary, mature look in this, and maybe that's maybe that's some makeup they put on him. I don't know, but again, as I'm talking about every one of these actors, remember I've said keep an eye out for them. They're all really good. His role in this is kind of what should be like the love interest, the guy who's, he is that guy. He's that guy that you want the character to fall in love with. It's a cliche. He's got a girlfriend and he's dying. I mean, this is like one of those really, I don't know, like the YA movies that would star like Shailene Woodley or something from back in the day. Like, he is that guy, but he's not. He's that version of that kid that's dying, is what I want to say. And how, like, maybe that, I don't know. I don't want to say that he would have been some jerk if he wasn't dying, but he doesn't, they don't play it like he's I've got 2 girls wanting me. No, he's got his own thing going on. Plus, he really cares about this group. And the story that he tells, I mean, his story is nuts. It suddenly like turns into like a serial killer, and it doesn't shy away from like the violence too often. But in his story, he plays like a serial killer, and it's him doing it, and he's killing the other actors, but as different people. And the fact that it's like all this like hate passed down from grandfather, like who knows how far down his bloodline. But that the one part I didn't like was that there was the green gas that went inside him, and then she hits him with the hammer. Like, I thought, like, no, I think I didn't like that part. That was the one part where I was just like, maybe she should just like, as a resolution, be like, okay, well, you just turn yourself in then. Like, I know it wasn't your fault, but you killed all those people. You killed all those people. You were there. And honestly, it's kind of one of those. It lost a bit of realism, but I think that the problem is that all those stories weren't meant to be the realistic versions. They're supposed to be fiction because their real life is already, dark enough, and the story is already dark enough too. So throwing in, I guess, the green gas in the end doesn't really matter. It's fun for the story, although they critique it too, but they go a different way. I think she actually says, I think you were too hard on him. I'm like, yeah, but he's still like, I don't know, like he didn't have the green gas in him. I'm gonna call it the spirit or whatever it was, right? That went in him. That wasn't in him until after she died. So wouldn't it be more like that the influence was psychological? I don't know. I'm not saying that he was in his right mind in the fictional story within the fictional story. Remind you, but I don't know. But his journey too, where he starts to, he's going through his own thing that we find out he's seeing things. After a while, he's waking up in the basement and waking up and seeing the old man played by William B. Davis. But he's also like he's got a girlfriend. He's She wants to go to prom. She wants to act like everything's normal, and he's enamored now with this new smart girl that's come through, and she's I don't know. It I'm probably not doing the character justice the way I'm talking about it, but his full circle thing, where he doesn't just go and cheat on his girlfriend, like he actually breaks up with her proper, you know. He does the right thing, even if it is like there's no real great way to do it. It's like in your head, you're setting her free, but she doesn't want to be set free. She's always going to be the girl whose boyfriend had cancer, like he was prom king and he died. In a lot of ways, you're always going to, be that person, but you don't have to let it, I don't know. But his character eventually does he breaks up with her, and we could see the future with them. All in all, he was a really fun character, and I don't think I'm doing him justice here. Um, let's see. And then I just go, let's see who's next. Well, Ruth Codd's Anya, who's again the one in the wheelchair. Um, changed my like. Okay, I didn't know who she was when I saw her in Fall the House of Usher. Now, once again, like I said, more screen time, different character, kind of the same attitude. Well, no, not really. Uh, more, she's the angry one. Like again, if you have to like pick, like they are kind of, you could say, the brains, the shy one, the liar, the Christian, the video gamer, the hunk, the babe, the bitch, the jock. I think they all kind of fit a certain cliche if you want to put them in it. She would be the bitch. But the thing is like the character is happy with that, fine with that. Um, and she's the fighter. She's the fighter of the group. And I gotta tell you, I when she died, I kind of didn't expect it. I actually thought that like something was gonna happen. And the thing is like what I love about this show is it keeps throwing these like supernatural possibilities at you, but most of it's all just hokum. Now we can't we still don't know about what, like we do know that there are the ghosts in this place. And we do know that Heather Langenkamp's character is tied to it. Um, but that's like when you really think about the supernatural, it's not really happening. And Heather Langenkamp kind of like debunks all of it. And when you really think about it, a lot of everything is explained except for the ghosts. It's the it's the only thing that isn't really explained. And if there's more, let me know if I'm forgetting more mysteries that I'm not thinking of. But her character, when she died, I loved how even they handled that the part of the I honestly thought that maybe they were going to bring her back. And when she actually died, I realized that that was just a better better story. Because there has to be stakes, and I keep thinking, and I've complained about it before. It's like when you, like, let's say at the end of something where you expect us, at least some of the characters, to die before the in the finale. If it's like that kind of show, you know what I'm saying? Like Lost or something. Shows with stakes, shows that put people's lives on the line, like a show where everybody's got cancer. Well, somebody's gonna have to die, right? Or otherwise, there's no stakes. But so I'm really glad that they that she died in the end, for story, not for, like, oh, fuck that character. Just because of especially because of how they handled it. I mean, she's going through this whole thing. Her story arc is rough, crazy town bananas, and just so dark. and but it's like how they let her die was amazing. I mean, they take her down to the ritual. The shadow comes for her, and then we fade to black, and we come in, and she's like cashiering and going through her day and everything, and she's hearing a little voice, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be how, like, this is maybe how she reaches out. Like, maybe their pact will prove that they can, like, she'll break through from the supernatural world, right? And they'll be able to do something, or somehow she'll affect the end of the show. And they don't do that. It's not that. She's in a coma, and she's listening to them. And throughout, like, as things are getting weirder in this, like, coma world, she finally hears them talking. And then what do? Like, she opens her eyes, she comes out of it, and she dies. And I was like, oh man. And not like, oh man, like she could have lived. No, it's like she was able to open her eyes and come out of it. And then, like, I don't know, there was something nice about it, that their words brought her back, but like she wasn't there in that nightmare, because that was a nightmare that she found herself in. And speaking of not nightmares, but like the world that she was in, I always call it out because, again, X-Files always goes back to the X-Files. Sarah Jane Redmond from X-Files and Millennium. He was the manager at the grocery store who took over when the crazy lady with the hammer came up. That was Sarah Jane Redmond. I freaking love that character actress. She is the bomb. She was on, she played Aunt Nell on Smallville. Like Kristen Crooks, Lana's aunt. If you need a little bit more current, even though Smallville's, she wasn't on she hasn't been on Smallville since like 2003 or 4 or something like that. And that show is basically 20 years old. So not even basically, that show's 20 years old. More than 20, I think. But that's where Sarah Jane Redmond is, if you want to have one of those blink and you'll miss it moments. But her story was great. And then when they talk about when Rhett comes over, the guy from her past, and they find the ballerina, and the ballerina's fixed. And to them, that was her, like, reaching out. That was her reaching out from beyond, because they knew that the thing was broken, and they found out that it just suddenly was fixed. And even though that's, whatever, it's like that bit of, like, how to find victory in small things, and seeing something like that and taking it as whatever you want to interpret it as. It showed that, like, even in her weakened state, she was super strong, and they were right about her, and she was fighting until the end, and just really, really great character work. Anara Simone, who plays Sandra, she is the one in right next to the M. She's like, okay, again, she's the Christian character. She's the religious character in the Breakfast Club, even though there wasn't one. Um, it's the After Breakfast Club. It's the Brunch Club. Nope, it's the Midnight Club. Now this character could have just been because, like, if you've seen other Flanagan stuff, there can, when it comes to religion, there's definitely a tone. I don't know why I'm like, there just seems to be like see, I'm not religious, so I don't want to read more into it than there is, but there doesn't seem to be a real positive look about religion in a lot of Mike's stuff, and I'm perfect with all that, and I'm sure that other people feel like, oh, they're picking on the religious girl. Blah, blah. She could have just been token religious girl. In some ways, she does act like token religious girl because guess what? There are people like her in the world. She's not a caricature. She's a caricature of real people, but what if that caricature had real feelings and was written well and not just some stereotype out there, throwing her cross at everybody? I don't know. That's not something they do. I don't know. I do. You know what I'm saying? And they give her a real arc. She does really, she's sincere. Okay. Is that one of those people when, how do I put this? Like, there's people who are religious who you to be religious like them, would like you to join in their faith, but you can ignore them easy enough for the most part. That's what I would call her. It's always there, and the thing is that there's parts about all of them that they don't like about each other. And I don't think it's her faith that bothers them. It's how she presents it to them and everything. Like, there's that hardline religious stance that's in everything. And especially when some of the people in the club are gay and have AIDS. So there is moments of contention is kind of stemmed towards her character. And when they made her the character that got better after everything, and then you find out that she was like the one who gave, like, Spencer the voice and to give him like some false hope and everything. It was like, oh boy, they really kind of don't want you to like this character on some levels. I think or make it harder to like this character on some levels. But again, it just makes it more complex to like her, realizing that she's getting better and it's not her fault. She's not getting better because she prayed harder. She's getting better because she just got the luck of the draw. And for story's sake, it probably is a good choice to make the person that like has been talking about faith and everything be the one that actually gets it, ironically almost. But the way that she plays it too is soft and not like fire and brimstone, because not every religious person is some Bible thumping, just standing on the pulpit, telling everybody how to live their lives. Some are more subtle about it. I guess she's trying to win hearts and minds, and she does a good job during it. And yeah, she got to go home, man. She wins. Aya Furukawa as Natsuki, very quiet, dark back history, kind of the love interest for Amesh's character, played by Sorian Sapkota. Their characters are kind of intertwined throughout the whole thing. They'd be like the nerd couple that work at the video store, basically. I mean, they are like that in the show too when they tell their stories. And it's sweet and cute because he and her, like, it's like watching anime characters where the guy keeps trying to say something and then just can't get there until eventually something happens. I mean, in an anime, it probably takes about 150,000 episodes for the guy to kiss her or something like that, or her to kiss him. But like in this, they don't have as much time. Not just because they have a show, because they have cancer. If they're going to kiss, they better kiss soon. And so at least that's sped up. Both their stories are great, especially like, oh my gosh, they both have amazing stories. Because Natsuki's has Henry Thomas and freaking Alex Esso as Poppycorn and Freedom Jack. Again, another awesome, unique character performance by Henry Thomas. Who and I don't want to like Alex Esso's doing some weird shit in this too, man. But her story about basically being on that road to nowhere. I've played video. I recently played a video game that was kind of like that, and you're in a circle, you can't escape it, you're in the fog, you keep passing the same gas station, you keep passing the same creepy person, and the creepiest people are in the car with you, and they're like from a band, and clearly it's a nightmare, it's a freaking nightmare. And my goodness, do both of these two actors that just pop in for one thing do a fantastic job of being creepy as hell, never knowing what's going to happen. When is this going to take a real dark turn? Because it says a lot. There's a lot of creepy dialogue, but nothing, happens. But it is like being trapped in a nightmare. And they did a fantastic job of capturing that in this episode. Um, Meanwhile, with Amesh's story, where he uh, ends up in a story about himself from like how he envisions himself. I am drawing a slight blank on this. Okay, it's the one where he's met by his future self, played by Rahul Kohli. Who, it's funny because he's like supposed to be like kind of a game designer in this, but he plays a guy who produces games in Fall of House of Usher. Anyway, he puts him in front of a screen to basically play like apocalypse scenarios, and it's really unique. It's really funny, and you can see how these would be like different stories, but also it's a whole gotta stop the past, change the future kind of thing. Um, like it's me from the past doing this to you now, and I think that if I was young, I'd have really, really dug this. But it also has another turn from another person in this. He gets like one scene, one freaking scene. Why can't I remember his name? The dude from Follow the House of Usher. He was in a ton of stuff. Wasn't he on Weeds? Oh my god! But he plays the guy who's like there to like kill him, and they have this like insane conversation that just only happens in shows like this. Um, but he has like a Mesh's character has his like whole death day where they're on the beach, and it's the day that he was like told that he was going to die. Just another fantastic scene. All right, who else do we have left here? We have Spencer, he's the character that's gay and has AIDS in it, and I don't mean to say it like that either. It's again because his character would be more off type if this actually took place, if this was actually made in the 90s. I don't think they'd ever make this character gay. They'd probably, I don't know who they'd give it to, but his whole arc of being like ostracized by his family. And this, again, was something that I related to because he's at odds already with the girl in the group who wants to basically bring God into things when, to Spencer, religion ruined his life. Strict ways of thinking and not thinking about, what's best, like thinking what the whole religious thing. We could go down that road forever, but it's ruined his life and immediately made me think of Jehovah's Witnesses again, where you're shunned if you're gay, and that gave his whole backstory gave me really big Jehovah's Witness vibes of the whole mom won't talk to me anymore, and not because she doesn't love me as a mom, but because of religious standards, where family just stops being family. They might not stop being family for you, but you stop being family for them. And I'm living proof that happens. And what Spencer's going through, and he's got AIDS, and he's got fucking cancer. Or well, no, I think wait. I think I threw him in there like because wait, it's a hospice for cancer. It wouldn't be just for AIDS. Yeah, it would be, I guess. But if I'm wrong, maybe he does have cancer. If he has cancer AIDS, then oh my gosh, he's like the most tragic character on the show. It's like, which one's gonna get you first? He can't have both. I apologize. I got a little excited there for some reason when I was like, I got three things that he's wrong with him. But over the course of the show, how he gets to find his people and his story about basically the Terminator, where it turns out he's the robot and he's the thing that needs to die. It was just really good. And then you get Jason O'Mara. Okay, another blink and you'd miss it performance. There are so many performances like in one scene, like where an actor just comes in and just blows it out of the water, and it's just somebody that you didn't expect. And Jason O'Mara, who's from Agents of Shield and look, a bunch of other stuff, but like from Agents of Shield, I'm just gonna from Agents of Shield. He was also on the Man in the High Castle, and plenty of movies. And he's great. He's awesome. And as he was basically the Kyle Reese character, I loved it. He was the Kyle Reese character, and he's also like been replaced, so he's kind of like Kano from like Mortal Kombat, or I don't know. I think Kano just had. I think it's just because of the eye thing that I'm comparing him to Kano, but that whole story was fantastic. And they all these stories have like nice little poignant ways of like the character saying something to the other people at the table, either acknowledging a fault, acknowledging a strength, acknowledging their friendship, and sometimes all of it all at once. I really am trying to get through all these. And then we have Sherry, who's the liar, who and I'm all right, I'm going to be drawing another blank here, so I want to make sure that I get to Sherry. Okay, Sherry kind of gets a little bit of the short end of the stick. I think they probably would have given her more next season, because most of her thing is that she lies a lot, and you basically kind of learn how to tell when she's lying and when she isn't lying. But the other part about her character is she's all alone there. She's got very wealthy family members. Her parents are very wealthy. I think they're actors or something, or something in Hollywood. And they're always sending her things and never being there for her. So she's alone and she's only got other people. And so she tends to, lie a lot, because who's going to check? And she kind of doesn't care. And I kind of like that about her. And unfortunately, she just doesn't get as much as everybody else does. And again, I think because it was supposed to be 2 seasons, we would have heard more, because there's stories I don't even think we finished. I don't know. I don't even know. But hopefully, I don't know. Maybe we'll, like I said, maybe we'll see it in a movie. Maybe we won't. But as the show goes on, and yes, Shasta turns out to be a bad guy, and Ilanka's story is told as her mom was like this witch who, or like it passed on this scrying power onto her daughter, that there was a specialness in their bloodline. And now I may be new to D&D, but I in scrying, I thought that, and maybe it's got different interpretations, but scrying I know is that you could look in on somebody, but you couldn't affect it, because it was like long distance, like spying, basically. And I don't know if that's something that they just made up for this version or not, but in this they basically could get involved, and it kills her mother. So it's her kind of dealing with her mother's death, that her mother saved someone, and the power to do that killed her. It like drained her of her life force. And in her story, because she can see the future and change things, she causes somebody else to get shot. And in the end, she sacrifices herself in this like kind of coma in between world, so that the girl who was shot lives. and she's now with the walking amongst the fireflies. And as pretentious as that was, and it really felt, but it felt true to her character that she would write something or she would have like a story, except she doesn't finish the story. So I guess it's not pretentious. They made it pretentious for her by giving her this like really fluffy like story about like they find her walking amongst the fireflies. And that part was cringy, but I think it was kind of meant to be cringy. But if it wasn't, I don't know. But in real life, Kevin, breaks up with his girlfriend. Sandra goes home. Shasta runs off to like lick her wounds. And it's pretty much revealed like over the course of like the series, especially because of Heather's character, like telling him like none of this, everything basically gets explained until the very freaking end, where we find out in the poster or the frame of William D. Davis standing next to his wife saying that this is their house. So it's their house they're haunting. And Heather Langenkamp takes off her wig, revealing she's bald, probably has cancer. I don't, or was a cancer survivor. And she's got the hourglass on the back of her neck, just like the frickin' stuff. So we know that like there's something going on here. Maybe that's why she's still alive. Maybe this place keeps her alive because of something. I don't know. But see, that's what we might never know. We might never freaking know. Now, another thing that this show really helped me with, and like I said, is thinking about mortality and how you shouldn't let it drive you that you're going to die. You should let yes, you're going to die. That shouldn't stop you from living. And like I said, when I bring up that this is the place for my friends and family to like, if they ever need to see me in the way that I am, when I'm not afraid, this is the place to find me. And hopefully eventually I can coax myself to act more like that in the real world. And I see these kids and it's like when you think about mortality in that respect, that they're trying to live even though they're got a death sentence. What's my excuse? So anyway, I'm sure that I'm going to be kicking myself for not bringing up this, that, and the other, because there are so many incredible moments on this show. So many well-directed dialogue scenes and monologues and stories, and all the ways that they weave in the little mini mysteries in every episode. The places it goes, man, I did not expect a lot of what happens in this to happen, and it just kept going down rabbit holes and that I didn't see coming, and I was so. And it's just an immensely joyful experience, but at the same time, it's got the weight of a lot of different things in it, but still somehow uplifting and hopeful. So that's it. I think that's as much as I'm going to allow myself to like continue to bask in my usual Mike Flanagan like ass kissing. But I'm going to continue to do it as long as the guy makes good stuff. And if there was one regret that I have, it's that I didn't do an episode to episode review. I said review. Damn it. I'm still so used to saying review. But anyway, I will continue to make more discussion videos about Mike Flanagan's work as long as he keeps making good stuff. And again, keep putting X-Files people in your stuff, because he even said that in here. Okay, I just made a video. I just remembered this. I just made a video talking about Folly I Do, Madness Shared by, and it was in something that I watched recently. I think it had to be about Fall the House of Usher. But okay, so now I know like Mike Flanagan's a huge X-Files fan. I know that none of this is just by chance, and that I think everybody in here is because he's like, I want this actor and I want this person from X-Files, because they actually literally bring up Folie à Deux And they say a madness shared by two, and they're like, "How do you know that?" And he goes, "From the X-Files episode, and it was awesome." Now, I don't know if I agree if it was awesome. I think I still think it's a decent idea. It's a good X-File, but it's not like one of the absolute best. But the fact that they put it in there and they called it out, thank you, Mike. So anyway, I just throw my pen down for no damn reason. So thanks, Mike Flanagan, for making another fantastic show, for breaking my heart, for making me think all sorts of wonderful and terrible things. Just thank you. And thank you guys for watching, that people who have made it this far, or people who came back, or people who watch this in bite-sized chunks or whatever. For more Mike Flanagan filleting, come to Smirking Gun. But anyway, folks, thanks for watching. I will see you on the next video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.